The Air Force has a dream sheet, and there are 20 spaces, and I left the 20th space blank. And so then the guy said, well, put in Grand Forks, you'll never get it. So I filled in Grand Forks, and then they sent me to Grand Forks as a volunteer.
Grand Forks is a small city in North Dakota, and we've had a base here since 1955.
Back in the mid-50s, it was a question where the base was going to be located, and the Grand Forks business community rose to the occasion and raised part of the money to actually purchase the land where Grand Forks Air Force Base sits today.
Most surprising to me is the history of the base. It's had pretty much every mission you could possibly have. Grand Forks has had that.
Well, you know, in our 60-plus year history, Grand Forks has had many missions. And over the years, we both had bombers and fighters. But it also became obviously more treasured as we went through 5 rounds of BRAC. And we lost several missions in that process.
Starting in 2010 with the last tankers leaving Grand Forks Air Force Base, you're now looking at an Air Force unit that no longer has a flying mission, and you know, Air Force is all about fly, fight, win.
We've been on every BRAC list. We've been affected by every BRAC, but we're still here.
And I think that is solely due to the community support.
I think the biggest collaboration was really working with command staff to see what the needs were. And we actually had a lot of efforts that came out of that.
The enhanced use lease,
The FAA waiver,
whether it's schooling,
License reciprocity for trailing military spouses.
Key investments in initiatives like Grand Sky.
Furthermore, money can be spent millions of dollars lobbying in Washington, D.C., where we were able to accomplish this on our own and actually accomplished a lot.
The Grand Forks Region EDC, the Grand Forks County leadership and Grand Forks City leadership came together in that collaborative spirit.
Within the first month or so, I think I attended about 3 different meetings, whether it was the MAC or the BRIC or just folks coming on base to meet me, and I was just taken aback about how interested they were in everything that impacts airmen's life and our spouses, our dependents' lives.
So they fight to get the capability here, and then once it's here, then they care for us overall.
Grand Sky is a model for the base of the future. We're establishing on Grand Forks Air Force Base a space and area dedicated to support both the government sector for UAS development and the private sector for UAS development, completely in tandem with Air Base leadership.
Our enhanced use lease is over 200 acres that the Air Force has leased to the county. The companies that our developer has recruited really has synergy with our Global Hawk mission.
Grand Sky in general makes payments to the Air Force, and those payments are retained at the Air Force Base.
Grand Forks Air Force Base is now the manager of all Global Hawk operations in the Air Force.
We are very proud to be the Global Hawk Air Force Base of the Air Force.
Grand Forks is definitely a Global Hawk base and a Global Hawk community 100%.
The difference with Grand Forks is they come to the base and they say, what issues are your airmen having? How can we help?
Don't be saying, don't close our base, please, but saying, this is everything our base has to offer. This is why it's valuable. Here's why we can support.
And so that outreached hand makes all the difference.
We have received the Abilene Trophy twice, and the Abilene Trophy is what the Air Force gives to communities that have outstanding support for their Air Force base and their men and women that serve.
All the people in Grand Forks really support our Air Force Base. It isn't one organization, it's all of the people of the community, all of the organizations working together.
Toward the same goal, that's when you become a force to be reckoned with.
The National Defense Strategy is ever evolving, and we need to be in a position to support those changes as we look forward.
I think that every community that has an Air Force base, first and foremost, needs to realize that it is a privilege to have an Air Force base in your community, and it's their responsibility to support the men and women at the Air Force in the interest of protecting our country.
When I was in Dover at the Air Force base there, I was wearing my Global Hawk pin. On my way to the food line, I passed someone who said, "You're from Grand Forks." I said, "Yes, I am. How did you know?" He recognized the pin. And he said, "I was stationed there. And when I retire, I plan to move back there because the people are so nice."